Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's one of those blustery days where it's easy to complain about the weather, to complain about everything else going on. And Shabbat is a little reminder to us that we can let all of that go and just breathe and appreciate the moments that we have together and the moments that we have to enjoy them. So welcome to those of you here in the sanctuary and those of you joining us remotely as well. Let us enter this space of Shabbat together. How good it is when we are together as one big family. Page 128 is where you can turn for Hyde Matov. That's right. Join us on page 121. As the Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. And we'll turn now to the kindling of the lights that welcome in Shabbat as well as Kiddush for those among us. I'm delighted to invite up 11 members of Larry's family. So, Gloria and Karen and Cousin Marty, please join us.
God, sovereign of the universe, who balanced us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
And we turn the pages, we turn to page 122, and prepare for Kiddush.
Heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hakofen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, Shabbat kodsho, Yahweh ratzo, Ikilanu, Zikaron Mase Pareishi, Kibo Ikom Ila L'Mikrayei Kodesh, Zekel Tzila Mitzrayim, Kivanu Achata Yotanu Kitasa Mikol Olamim, Shabbat Kodsha Yahweh Ratzon Mikatanu, Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
It's the finest kettle grape juice we have. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom. So we continue to welcome Shabbat. Even as it's storming here, I know that in Israel and much of the Middle East, it is the dry season right now. And so I imagine that in Tzfat, the town in the northern hills, in which the words of L'chadodi were written, tonight, when the Shabbat began, it was dry, and they might have gone outdoors to welcome the Sabbath bride, as is described in the Psalm L'chadodi. So if you're feeling uncomfortable with the weather here, just use your imagination. Let it bring you there, and let the words and the melody do the same. Page
133. לקראת שבת נרחו בלך, כי מקום הברכה בראשי אין שמחה, סוף רחצי במחשבה קינה.
Welcome Shabbat not only by facing the door, but by facing one another and greeting each other. So take a moment and greet someone perhaps you haven't greeted yet tonight. Let's continue on page 146, as we're called to worship with the words of the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, Amevorach. Baruch Adonai, Amevorach, Le'olam Amen.
Join me on page 148. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'dvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, v'bitbuna meshanei itim, ma'chalif et hazmanim, v'mesader et hakochavim b'mishmeroteim v'rakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, kolel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, Ma'avir yom u'mehi layla, ma'avdil bein yom u'bein layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu ve'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv ha'aravim. Page 150. Havat olam, everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, eternal God, when we lie down, when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night, we will reflect on them. They are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Amen.
Please be seated. free to read along in the English. It's the same words. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'otecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibartam v'shitecha v'beitecha v'belechtecha b'derech v'shokbecha v'kunecha v'kshartam le'ot hayadecha v'hayu letotafot b'einecha v'uchtatam hamizuzot etecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Amen. Let's read responsively on the bottom of page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace.
Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. That asks that we can all lie down in peace. My heart has been turned to think of our brothers and sisters in Israel who are hearing every day of Iran's threat to retaliate and who are perhaps not lying down so easily in peace. So as we turn to these words, let us pray for them, for us, for the whole world to find peace. Please join me at the bottom of the page. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, Haborei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Amo Yisrael, Ve'am Yerushalayim. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. Turn together to page 164 as we turn to this core prayer, hoping that it reaffirms our commitment to act, also allows us to pray to God. Please rise.
Adonai, Shabbat Tikvah, Ufia Kitadilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ahel HaGadol, HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'gonei HaKol, V'zocher Chatzei Avot V'Imachot, U'mevii Gula Livnei B'neihem, Le'man Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Oseh U'Moshiach U'Hakim. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah V'Hoshia. Mori atah, Mechalkel Chayim Ve'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol Ve'Rachamim. Somech Novim Ve'Ofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umkainem Emunato, V'Yishnei Alfa, V'Yicham Bocha Ba'al Kebulo, Umido Me'elav, Melech Meimi, Umkayei, Umatziach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman HaKol Kayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Atah Kadosh, Shimcha Kadosh, Ukdoshim Bo Kol Yom Yihalu Chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Top of page 171. Days pass and the years vanish. We walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. And blessed are these precious moments of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. We continue with a prayer of longing, asking for God's favor, the words that Fritz say, page 174. Let's continue in gratitude. Please join me. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Ato Shemcha, V'acha Na'eh Lehodos. Sing our prayers for peace, page 178.
Shalom Rabbah, and Yisrael Avotah, sing Le'olam. Shalom Rabbah, and Yisrael Avotah, sing Le'olam. Ki atah Melech HaKol,
again, drink in these moments and offer up your own meditations in words or just in presence as we pray in silence. That word shalom means not only peace, but also is connected to the word for wholeness. And so we turn our thoughts now to those who are not quite feeling whole, whether they are feeling broken in spirit or in body. They are in need of our prayers. And so we turn to this Mishabara prayer for healing, wishing and praying for the health, the healing, the well-being of the following people: Jamie Lippman Abish, Eileen Andacht, Ellen Bassett, Benjamin Menachem Frank, Carolyn Barone, Stephen Berman, Jane Bernstein, Arnold Block, Dennis Brenner, Jack Kazis, Nora Correa, Toby Domash, Susan Sietzek, Janet Ewing, Arthur Fisher, Judy Fisher, Michelle Fisk, Evan Foster, Florence Goldrick, Stephen Goldstein, Jean Gormley, Elise Grace, Carolyn Ryder, Marilyn Heckler, Enid Hirsch, Matthew A. Hood, Dacia Horowitz, Phyllis Horn, Stephen Israel, Toby Israel, Christine Jacobson, Danette Jamal, Roberta Kahn, Louis Kaufman, Neil Kisner, Tatiana Kotunyuk, Michael Constant, Esther Kruchevsky, Dylan Labisi, Lawrence Landy, Sandy Lay, Gail Levy, Paul Lipson, Aidan Moletsky, Robert Mandel, Robert Maddox, Barbara Massey, Susan Miller, Ashley Moranti, Adam Moranti, Patrice Newman, Nora Tsipora Batilana, Andrew O'Donnell, Sophia Palladino, Esther Parker, Gerlinda Pescatori, Helga Pfeffer, Dan Pilch, Rabbi Lester Polonsky, Dean Powell, Julie Rosenberg, Laura Rosenspan, Renee Rosenthal, Sylvia Rubel, Adele Schoner, Anna Rachel Miriam, Charlotte Miriam Schnupp, Claire Shapiro, Jeffrey Schoenholtz, Marjorie Schoenholtz, Edmund Steiner, Faye Strobel, Rhoda Strobel, Tova Bat Shifra, Arlene Iris Wisson, and Shirley Young. I invite you to add additional names if there are others for whom you wish to pray this evening. Farhad.
Heidi Furu,
Thank you. Gloria.
Harvey Warman, Esther Horner.
Thank you. Thank you. There's on this side. And on this side. And to the names of those people we know, we also think of those who are in harm's way with the storm and the weather, and we pray that everybody can find healing, health, and stay safe. Please join us on page 371 as we say thank you to God, and we bless you, oh God, who is the source of Some brief words from our sponsor. So the other day I had a conversation with somebody who's a more observant Jew than me, and she ended the conversation with a blessing. She said to me, "May these 9 days be filled with insight for you." What 9 days, you may be asking? And I will tell you, it took me a moment to put together which 9 days she was talking about. What she meant was the first 9 days of the Jewish month we're in now, this month of Av, which culminates in the 9th day. And the way you say the 9th of the month of Av might be familiar to you. It's Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av, or Tisha B'Av, as it's sometimes shortened when we Americans speak English, is the darkest day of mourning in the Jewish year. Traditional Jews commemorate it with a 24-hour fast. It is called the Black Fast, in contrast to the fast, the other 24-hour fast in our calendar, which is Yom Kippur's fast, which is sometimes considered the White Fast. Why? Because unlike the fast of Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av's fast is a fast of mourning. Tisha B'Av is a day dedicated to mourning the destruction of the great temple that stood in Jerusalem, that was destroyed not once, but twice, according to our history. And it's also the day on which we mourn other tragedies that have befallen the Jewish people throughout history. You are probably less familiar with the background of Tisha B'Av because the early Reform movement decided very rationally and with good purpose to not commemorate the day of Tisha B'Av, to actually kind of erase it from the calendar. And there's a variety of practices among Reform congregations today. But to give you an idea of some of the thinking of our Reform ancestors, Rabbi David Einhorn, who was one of the earliest American Reform leaders, wrote these words in 1896. He said, "The one temple in Jerusalem sank into the dust in order that countless temples might arise to honor thy honor and glory all over the wide surface of the globe. The true and real sanctuary, the imperishable testimony, remained ours, untouched and undimmed. In this our hope, this day of mourning and of fasting, hath according to the word of thy prophet, been turned into a solemn day of rejoicing, in view of the glorious destiny of thy law and our high messianic mission, which had its beginning with the historic events which we recall today." So those are the words of Rabbi David Einhorn in Olat Tamid, one of the earlier prayer books, in which he says basically that we Reformed Jews should rejoice in Tisha B'Av. Why? Because we do not mourn the destruction of the temple. Rather, we see that as the catalyst for creating the diaspora and for enabling us as individual Jews to spread ethical monotheism everywhere and to be a light to the nations everywhere. I will tell you that that argument made more sense perhaps some years ago in the earliest days of the Reform movement, but I find myself these days being attracted to having a day of dark mourning in our calendar. Tisha B'Av resonates with me, not because I long for the restoration of the Great Temple or the end to the Jewish diaspora. I think both of those days are gone, and we have reason to celebrate our rich diaspora life. But because I think we Jews need a place in our calendar for grief, a place where we can mourn all kinds of destruction that have befallen our people over our history. Not just the destruction of the temples, but the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, the Holocaust, the Warsaw Ghetto theory. The uprising happened on Tisha B'Av. And of course, today and these days, I especially think of October 7th of last year, of the current war in Israel, and of the whole region. I think it might help some of us, maybe me, to have a day of fasting, to grieve the pain, the suffering, and the lives lost, and not just turn ourselves away from that, to continue to look at it. So perhaps Tisha B'Av might be restored for some of us as individuals as a way to just mourn, to grieve Jewish pain and suffering throughout the ages and today as well. And there's another way to look at Tisha B'Av. While it is certainly a day for Jewish sadness and mourning, one can make the argument that it is also can be seen as universal in its themes, and not just by me, but also by our sages who made this connection. And let me explain one of the ways they got there. The book that we read, the scroll that we read on Tisha B'Av is Lamentations. The Hebrew word for that is Echa, which is actually the first word of the book of Lamentations. Echa means, it's translated variously as alas, or how deeply we are mourning and how much we are suffering. Right? But that word Echa really means how or where. It's a question word. And our sages connect the word Echa, which begins the book of Lamentations, with another word which is the same root, but just sounds a little different, Ayeka, which is actually the first question that God asks human beings, way back in the book of Genesis. When does this happen? God asks Adam and Eve, Ayeka, where are you? After they have sinned by eating the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden, and after they have covered themselves and are hiding. Right? So, that question, that ayeka, where are you, when referring to Adam and Eve, the first man and woman, as our story tells it, refers to the fact that they have refused to follow God's word, and that they have been greedy, refusing to curb their appetites, taking more than what they were offered, and how they have hidden from God's sight, from taking responsibility. It's for these sins that they're banished, just as the Jews were banished centuries later from the great temple and from Jerusalem. So if you see Tisha B'Av in this light, you should know that some of our ancestors also equate that great temple that stood, the actual historical temple that stood in Jerusalem, with this earth, with Haaretz, with this planet that we live on. And so in addition to being a day to mourn our specific tragedies, Tisha B'Av can also be a day to mourn what is happening and the tragedies of our planet. A day to think about not only Adam and Eve's greed, but our own greed, our own unwillingness to curb our appetites and our dependence on fossil fuels and non-renewable resources. A day not only to note that Adam and Eve hid from God, but a day to remind us that we can avoid hiding from our responsibility to live more sustainably on this earth. And a day for us to grieve, yes, to grieve what's been lost in this planet, but also to save, to commit to saving what is not yet lost. For you see, there's one more tradition with this day of Tisha B'Av. Our tradition tells us that Tisha B'Av is the day on which the Messiah will be born. Right? Now, whether you believe in a personal, individual Messiah or not, I don't think is the point here. I think the point as I take it is that hope comes on this day. If we can face the sadness squarely, if we can grieve, it can stimulate us to take action, to take responsibility. It can lead us to salvation. King Hiratson, may it be so. We're going to turn back in our prayer books now as we turn to our concluding blessings, beginning on page 586. The Elenu is a prayer that hopes for a day when all the world shall be one. Please rise as we open the altar. As our service draws towards its close, thoughts turn to those who departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, those of every race and every nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. Let's remember them. Let us grieve their passing. Let's celebrate their lives and their legacy. In this period of Shoshim, the first 30 days of mourning, with love we now recall Marlene Hurwitz, remembered by Jonathan Adam and Ethan Hurwitz and family, and her temple family. And we remember Lisa Landau, remembered by Sharon and Victor Kahn and their family, and Mrs. family as well. And this week, we mark the yard sites, the anniversaries of the passing of the following beloved. With love, we now recall Helen Berkowitz, aunt of Madeline Wolfe, David Brown, in-law of Doris S. Brown, Elaine Fine, friend of Lawrence Constant and Gloria Ferreras Constant, David Fink, father-in-law of Sonia Fink, grandfather of Sharon Furcano, Marion Goldschmidt, mother of Martin Goldschmidt, mother-in-law of Susan, Rachel Hirsch, mother of Hannah Cormus, Sylvia Jassy, mother of Roger Jassy, Daniel Jacobs, remembered by Betsy Jacobs-Bibiani, father of Jennifer Jacobs, Stephen Kalo, the uncle of Sharon Connie, Dora Klein, grandmother of Carol Ryder, Marion Constant, first wife of Lawrence Constant, mother of Karen, mother of Karen, Jacob Kornhauser, grandfather of Sharon Adler, Joyce Milstein, wife of Rabbi Ronald Milstein, Nathan Owitz, grandfather of Barbara Orville, Paul Passarello, brother-in-law of Cheryl and Stephen Levine, and father of Andrew and Devin Passarello, George Ravens, father of Richard M. Ravens, Phyllis Rice, mother of Cynthia Bettelheim, Ben Skelsey, father of Rita Kimmel, Irving Schoenhout, brother-in-law of Aline Schoenhout and uncle of Aileen Schoenhout, Dora Siegel, grandmother of Gloria Ferreras Constant, Joseph Sunken, grandfather of Mona Lupo, George Walters, father of Gloria Ferreras Constant, Morris Weinerman, father of Judy Lefkowitz, Doris Werner, mother-in-law of Stephen Levine, Jillian and Lindsay Weiner, granddaughters of Joan Weiner. Is there anybody who has an additional name, somebody you are remembering and would like to honor by sharing their name with us? Zichronam livracha. May the memories of all the beautiful souls whose names we've mentioned and the righteous everywhere continue to bless us. We turn together to page 598 as we rise as one community for the words of the Monas Kodesh. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach v'yitei v'yamid malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yamechon, v'chayei kol beit Yisrael, v'agalah v'zman kariv yivru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah menorach ve'alam amen amen. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbahar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei t'kudsha b'rivu, ve'ela minkol birchata v'shirata, t'ishbachata v'nechamata, Damiram Yomah Yimru Amen. Yehei Shalom Arab Amin Shabaya. V'chayim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael. Yimru Amen. Osei Shalom B'Nolam. Hu Yasei Shalom. Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael. Yal Kol Yoshvei Tekel. Yimru Amen.
Osei Shalom B'Nolam.
a few brief announcements tonight, and I'll see if I've got them on my head, and you can all help me if I don't. We're studying tomorrow morning, 9:15 via Zoom, and we'll continue to study the themes of Lamentations and of Tochacha, of rebuke. If you'd like to join us, please feel free to do so. On the Mark and Cardio Core and More continue at their regular times. I believe choir 6:30 on Wednesday evenings continues as well. For those of you who are interested in attending a service to observe Tisha B'Av, I can tell you that there is one in Great Neck that Temple Beth El and Temple Isaiah are jointly sponsoring. If anybody's interested in information, I don't think I put it in our weekly update, but I'm happy to provide it to you, provide you with the link for that if you're interested. It's Monday evening, I do know that. And other factual things that anybody,
Piece of good news.
yes, please.
So Joe and Barbara Massey are now grandparents.
Yay! I've been waiting all day for that news.
7 pounds and some number of ounces, I forgot. Girl.
Yay! Do we know her name yet?
And I don't know her name yet. They're out in Cleveland celebrating with their son and daughter-in-law. Poor Barbara posted that they were being kicked out of their hotel because of all their imminent storms there. They're actually needing a hotel space for a long-term, residence in. So I don't know where they ended up, but
They were fine when they called.
They were fine when they called. And when she posted, there still was no baby. So I'm glad to hear the good news.
No name yet.
Yay! Well, that's wonderful news. So
Was that today or today?
Today.
Today.
Yes, that would be today. Yes. So I know many of you were looking forward to celebrating with Bob Bader his 100th birthday, and you will have a chance to do that. So our rescheduled date is September 6th. That's obviously Friday night service. It will begin at 6 o'clock, and there will be more word going out about that. But Bob's actual birthday is the 4th, so this will be just a couple days after instead of a couple days before. So we look forward to that. So the last thing I want to say is what I usually say. Toda Rabba. Larry, I just so appreciate sharing the Bible with you and hearing your voice and your soul, and it's just a real gift to me. So
Absolutely.
thank you, and thanks for sharing that gift with all of us. With that, let us conclude on a beautiful and a hopeful note. In this season of darkness, we need to find the light, and we need to find the colors of the rainbow.
Just a note first that my wife and Karen's mom, Marion, after many long illnesses, finally went up to heaven about 14 years ago tomorrow. And this was the song she most loved, notwithstanding all the problems and illnesses. So. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also also on the face of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Shabbat shalom.